Bem-vindos a Toast. Welcome back to Toast, everybody. I'm very happy to be talking about Portugal again today because, I just recently started learning Portuguese. I feel very comfortable and very confident in my ability to speak Portuguese. It's, very similar to Italian, French, and Spanish. So I picked it up pretty quickly, and I also have an amazing teacher. Hit me up if you need a Portuguese teacher. I'll send you her contact info. Um, Today, we're talking about Coimbra. Now, Coimbra, for many of you who don't know that, and most of you even who've been to Portugal may have never even heard of Coimbra. So let's just talk about the highlight that most people actually do go for, which is the University of Coimbra, which is one of the oldest universities in Europe. It is of Southern Europe. It's kind of like the equivalent of Salamanca in Spain or Bologna in Italy. So it's pretty big deal. Coimbra is also like that university also has one of the rooms that inspired J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, to kind of base one of the libraries in Harry Potter off of that. So I know many of you have probably been to the spot in the bookstore in Lisbon, I think it is, or in Porto, that J.K. Rowling kind of based one thing off of in Harry Potter, which I think is like the where he gets the wand or whatever. I went there too, but the University of Coimbra and the library in Coimbra, more specifically, is really just this amazing, beautiful spot, and you have like kind of those ladders that go to like the second or third floor because it's just this like super high ceiling, and we ended up going there obviously, because that's just like one of the things you needed to see. And anyways, let me just get into it. Like, why did I go to Coimbra? Just because I met Michelle, and Michelle told me about it. And that was like one of the cool things is that when you're traveling and kind of have this open schedule, I was able to just really tag along with her trip. Even though we got to Coimbra separately, like I decided, hey, your hitchhiking thing was a pretty cool idea, so I tried to hitchhike to try and be budget friendly. It didn't work. I ended up taking a bus to Lisbon and then a bus from Lisbon to Coimbra. But we got there at a similar time, and we kind of met up at the hostel, and everything was cool. Coimbra is cool because, as any university town around the world goes, you'll have a lot of university students, and a lot of university students inherently means that it's going to be kind of a party city. And I was down with that because I'd been couch surfing for a while, and I didn't have like the best luck in terms of like, 27-year-old single Jordan kind of wanting to go out and drink and maybe speak to some cute Portuguese girls. That wasn't really working out for me. So I was down to go to a hostel, and I really wanted to mix the whole hostel and couch surfing experience during that trip. Later on, I ended up opting for a lot more just couch surfing because I just had a lot more fun becoming friends with people who are locals. But in Coimbra, what was cool is that once we got to the hostel and we met up, Michelle had already made some friends, and I started meeting some people at the hostel, and I ended up meeting all these Italians and this Austrian, and they were all exchange students in this place called Braga, which is one of these up and coming like developing cities in Portugal, and they were just doing a small weekend trip to Coimbra to see what it was all about, because that's what you do when you're an exchange student. You use the pass or fail basis to allow you to learn the language and travel around the country that you're staying in. So essentially, we became good friends with these people, and spoiler alert, these people ended up, or the Austrian and one of the Italians ended up offering me their couch so that I could stay there and couch surf there without using the app, which is really cool because you always picture couch surfing as this thing where it's like, I need to like message people, and maybe like I don't know if they seem cool or if they seem sociable or whatever it is. These people, like, I got to meet them, and then it was more just like, hey, come over, you're a guest. And it was really nice because I did end up going to Braga, and I ended up staying there for like a week or something. We just had a lot of fun. And there was a lot to see from there. But I'll get to that. That's going to be a whole week of stories because I did some really cool stuff there. Let's get into Coimbra. So aside from going to this library and seeing like just the beauty of like one of these ancient towns that really grew up with education, and the whole scholastic experience, academic experience, really develops a town and architecture in a specific way, as you must know if you've been to Bologna or Salamanca. But from Coimbra, Michelle had this like dedication to like I want to go do this like off the beaten path kind of travel. And so she found this old society that existed kind of pre like Romans or pre like Portugal being Portugal, kind of these Iberian Peninsula natives that had this old village and these houses made out of stone, stacked stones, with nothing to kind of hold them together aside from just the way that they're stacked. So that's like really impressive. Anybody who looks at architecture, you need to know that like we need these bricks to hold. We need this part right here to hold them together. And in these old societies, when they didn't really have this technology, which came very long time ago, to be able to still build houses and things like that out of just like stacked stones and roofs and everything too, just really truly impressive and beautiful. And so she, just tells us about this place, and me and this other Canadian girl, I think Sarah was her name, and just decided, screw it, like we have to do this. We have to go and see this like pre-Portuguese society. And so we ended up like taking this bus to this place called Lousa, and we kind of needed to take another like local bus from there, but I think we ended up just hiking the way, and we hiked around there, and it was just really, really cool to actually get to see these places because it was so off the beaten trail that like locals even there didn't even know how to point us in the direction of what we were looking for. When we got there, first of all, nobody spoke English because we were so far out of like, Coimbra or Porto or Lisbon that you just didn't have the option of speaking English. So I tried with, whatever Italian, and it wasn't working out very well, but we eventually found it. And it was cool because we ended up, exploring that whole area. We were completely alone. We didn't see another soul for the entire day. And it was just mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling. And like, I just owe this all to Michelle because of that. And, like just the travel experience and her doing, being diligent on that research really helped my experience and Sarah's experience with experiencing this. I mean, they had arches just like built with like stacked stones that were not even like glued or like nothing was holding them together aside from just the stones. So it's like when you get to the top, if you remove one stone, that whole thing crumbles. Just absolutely beautiful stuff. And of course, there's also like a castle in Losa, which we ended up walking to later and seeing more of like the kind of not touristy things, but what tourists would go to if they were to actually go to that place because, it's Southern Europe. There's castles everywhere. But we ended up finding like a really nice restaurant after, like local mom and pop shops, similar to what Michelle and I had found in the last episode down in Algarve, just to get like local food at cheap prices that, we just kind of pointed at things and that's what we got. And it was just a really nice experience to be able to do that and then go back to Coimbra and see all of the, these teenagers or whatever, young adults drinking as they do at a university town. And we were able to like really earn those beers and it was a hike, like we had to walk up like this village, this tiny, tiny village was still up in the mountain. So we had to, go and earn those beers that we were to drink later on in the evening. So it was really cool because all in all, it was, again, another experience that I didn't know I was going to have, that I didn't expect to have. So with no expectations, the only thing that you could possibly have are good experiences. And at the bare minimum, you get a story for your podcast. But back in Coimbra, it was cool because we ended up becoming friends with, the Italians and the Austrian, Moritz and Bianca and all of them. And like they kind of just really wanted us to stick around. So in Coimbra, like to be able to go out and go out and party kind of like an exchange student would, because we're staying at a hostel that's probably €7 a night and everyone's cooking their own food. Everyone's just trying to be as cheap as possible. And then same with the alcohol. So like you'd buy your alcohol from like a small store and you get your, port wine or your Vinho Verde, which is green wine, from the local dep if you're from Montreal, or corner store if you're not. Just like the little shop, and you get it for like €2, whatever it was, whether it was port wine or green wine or even just beers, which is usually not the best thing to get if you're in Portugal, but someone like me will still get the beers and try them. And it was really cool because we ended up like going out and finding bars and finding places and walking around town and getting a different perspective. And there's a part of me that misses that part of traveling. And I know as I get older, I'm gonna party less, and I'm gonna go out less, which means inherently I'm gonna see um, a limited or less detailed version of the cities or towns that I go to, because I won't experience what it looks like at nighttime, or what the nightlife looks like, or even like just the unique bars that they have. And we ended up going to some like very interesting, because we were with Italians, they like to dance and whatever. We went to some clubs, and you just see different things in different places. And I really enjoy that experience as much as I don't really want to go out anymore. Like, there's a part of me that knows that as I continue traveling, and in 2021, those of you who know me, I'm probably going to be taking a year-long trip, or sabbatical, if you will. And there's a part of me that wants to continue experiencing the nightlife of places, because that is important. Coimbra is more than just a university city for you to visit a university, for you to see where J.K. Rowling got her inspiration of Harry Potter, for you to get your dinner on a rooftop terrace and see the not skyline, but the city from above, because it's Europe, so nothing's really built too high, but also to go out. So without me, ranting any longer, I'm very happy that you guys are still here listening to me, tuning into my podcast. It's like, it feels so good to be back in the studio talking to these two camera angles, knowing that you guys are eventually going to get some value and enjoy these stories as much as I enjoy telling them and enjoyed living them. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing next week, because it might be that whole Canada month that I'm looking forward to. But I think I might stay in Europe and smash out another country first. So stay tuned and stay safe out there. Toast out.